So this next image component automatically determines the width and height of the input file when you're using it. And therefore, you should indeed make sure that the input file isn't unnecessarily large, because otherwise, even though Next.js will perform some resizing for different screen sizes automatically, or for different screen resolutions specifically, even though Next.js will do that, if the raw input file is too big, of course the entire base for the resizing operations performed by Next.js will be wrong. So one thing you could do then, and you should typically do, is resize that input image, but one other thing you could do is manually override the inferred width and height. And you can do this by setting the width and height props on that Next.js image component. And here I could, for example, set that to 100 each, so to 100 pixels each. And of course, you should set a width and height that's in line to the approximate size at which the image will be displayed here. So that comes down to your specific use case. But I can set the width and height like this, and if I then save that and reload, you will see that, of course, still the image element is rendered, but now my width and height has been set as a value here on that image element, and the sizes that are generated by Next.js automatically, you can tell the generated width here by this special query parameter that's set on these image URLs, these sizes got down and were decreased, and therefore now by manually setting a lower width and height than the input image has, I'm making sure that Next.js actually serves smaller image files. Now, whilst you can tweak the width and height like this is actually not the recommended way, though I will say it does work, and it therefore can be a decent workaround or a quick way of getting Next.js to resize an image. Still, when importing a local image, it's typically not recommended to set the width and height like this. Instead, you should keep it to the native raw sizes, the raw width and height of the input file. And instead, if you want to resize the image, it's recommended that you do this with the sizes prop, which is another prop you can add on that image element. And the sizes prop then can take actually a list of different sizes the image should assume depending on the width of the viewport, so that you could set up a responsive image. But if, like here, we have one size that's used all the time, this image size doesn't change as my viewport width changes. If that's the case, you can just set up one value for this sizes setting. And that value could be 10VW, for example, which is a CSS unit. And this means that this image will take up approximately 10% of the available viewport. And this setting will then also get Next.js to resize the image and serve an image of a different size behind the scenes. So that's an alternative way, and actually the recommended way of resizing an image. And you can therefore also learn more about using this sizes prop in the official Next.js documentation. However, I will say that for use cases like this here, where I have a fixed size image, where I don't need different resizings for different viewport widths, I personally actually like to manually overwrite the width and height of the raw input file and set a width and height explicitly as I'm doing it here to get Next.js to serve me a different image file of a different size, simply because that's a quick and easy solution. Nonetheless, you should know about this sizes prop as well. Of course, as mentioned, it would be even better to decrease the size of the input image, but manually setting a width and height that differs from the base image size also can be an alternative.